All right, today's 12 weeks to peak video is triggered, yes, by a comment or a question yesterday in one of the groups that I'm in, and it was a good question. It was like, how do I do multiple payments for 10,000 plus, high ticket offer, right? How do I present that? What options do I present? And so this is the kind of thing that I just take for granted because I've been doing it for a very long time, been a copywriter for over 25 years. We were doing fax blasts when I started and made a lot of money for myself and clients. Been in the online marketing field 11 years now, got great connections, great history. Don't talk about it too much, but here it is. And so when I talk about this stuff from practical experience, not repeating what I read from others or read in a book or something like that. Okay. But I do have stuff that supports my experience. It kind of explains why it works. Okay. So again, what do we do here? If we're going to split up a $10,000 plus payment, and this was echoed in Alen Sultanic's group, nothing held back. If you're not in that book, group, that's the A players group, get in there. Okay. What he talked about was split it up, not 50-50. That's very good because if you're anchoring on that first price, right, that first chunk there. And so if you anchor it at 50-50, they're going to look at the second half and go, I don't know, what am I paying for? Am I getting the value and stuff like that? And you might have a struggle to collect there. Okay. And so 70-30 is a lot better, 60-40, something like that, right? Make it bigger on the front end so that the second payment's like, oh yeah, okay, well, that's less. I was a credit manager for a national electrical wholesaler for 4 years. I collected $2 million a month in fees, for 11 branches. And these were like contractors that were going and building housing developments and schools and stuff like that. Okay. There's a lot of like policing type work to be done too, because the thing was a mess when I started over and nobody had any principles or values in that. And we had to change the culture quite quickly. So anyway, what I found there is you do not want to leave small amounts of money for you to chase other people around trying to pick up. Okay. Don't do it. As a business owner, your time is supposed to be worth, if you're not worth $500 an hour, at least, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right. At least 200. Okay. Could we start there for somebody who's really just started off and is struggling and maybe offering a one person service, something like that? Okay. And so you're going to go around and chase these tiny amounts of money. Okay. Now, the way I did it back in like the 2013, 2014 era was I would split it up over like two payments. I wouldn't go any more than two payments. And I did the 50-50 thing. And often I wouldn't get paid on the second half. Okay. Now I had a way of either locking off the second half of the content. That doesn't serve either of us really well, though, does it? That doesn't make the customer happy. It doesn't make me happy. I want them to have this stuff. The other thing was, if I gave them the whole thing, I would be happy. I would make sure I was happy with the first payment. Okay. That first 50% was basically the 100%. And anything else I collected was a bonus. Okay. That's the way I set it up. And so that's fine. So I don't know. I go back to this principle, and I've made videos about this before. Okay. The people who have money have money. The people who don't have money don't have money. And I encourage you to take that silly statement and drive it into your brain. Okay. Because it clarifies a lot of things and it makes things so much easier. The people who have money just give you some. Okay. There it is. Okay. People who don't have money, they got to swirl around and it's like a terrible decision and they're freaked out about it and they have to pull money away from somewhere else to pay you. Okay. So they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, your Paul. And they need a miracle. It has to work now or they're dead. So you do not want to be in this situation. Okay. And put on the line of responsibility for that. All right. So I would just stay away from this stuff. Okay. So it's okay to offer multiple payments, but the way I've seen it work best is anchoring again with the larger payment up front and successive payments less than that first payment. Okay. And try and minimize the number. All right. Then I was reminded of this talk that I had seen a long time ago, and I've come back to this many times about pricing. Okay. Offer three alternative payment options, okay, of how to pay, spread it out. Okay. So you got your, it's not even small, medium, and large. This is like the base price is X amount split up over so many months. The discounted price, if you pay in one payment today, offers a significant discount on that. And the third one, this is the interesting part, is awful and nobody would ever choose it. Okay. And this is an accident. I've seen this accidentally resulted in a lot or come up with in organizations, people that I've worked with and that. But there's some stuff behind it, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. Dan Ariely, Dan wrote a book called Predictably Irrational. He's kind of this science guy, math guy. His talk, he had a TED talk in 2009, and a lot of you will brush it off. Oh, it's so long ago, right? A lot of you were in high school in 2009. That doesn't mean it's invalid, okay? The exploit stuff, yeah, that comes and goes, okay? But the timeless principles, they stick around. The fundamentals stick around, okay? Insights into actual human behavior, our caveman ancestors would have gone for this, and you're going to go for it too, because your brain's still wired the same way. Okay, so go look for that. Are We in Control of Our Decisions talk by Dan Ariely on YouTube. You'll find it. It's a great talk. He talks about so many cool things. But at the end, he talks about offering these three options. And it's like, would you like to go to Rome or go to Paris or go to Paris and get your car stolen? Like nobody would choose that third option, and yet it actually makes you want to choose one of the other two specifically even more, and I'll let him explain it in the video. Okay, but I have seen this played out so many times in companies that I've worked with, where there's that anchor price that's just fine that some people take. There's the discounted good option that a lot of people, like 80% of my clients, usually take because they have money, so they just give you some. And then there's the would you like to work with us and have your windows broken kind of option. And somehow, right, it's actually more effective, because if you take that this was the thing that Ariely will show you in the video, if you take that third option out, somehow it makes the results switch around and people choose another of the options. So that's a bit of the science behind it. It's a very odd thing, but our minds are fooled easily. He's got a great thing in there about great line about, we use vision so much, and a large part of our brain and our processing system basically is wired for it, right? Hardwired for it. We're built to do it. And we still make mistakes. And he shows you, the two lines that are the same length but don't look like it, and even though they're the same, your eyes still fool you. Colors on kind of a Rubik's cube sort of thing, that the two colors are the same but they look different, and you can't tell yourself that they're different or the same even though you know that they are. Very fun stuff. And so he says, how about financial decision making? Like, we don't have a big part of our brain set up for financial decision making, and we don't do it very often, so we're not good at it, but we like to think we are, right? So we're actually making mistakes all the time. This is the fun part of it. All right, so what I'm talking about here is more advanced topics here. This is not about how to converse your way into selling something here. Okay, this is more a positioning, copywriting, layout, options kind of thing for conversion, and I'm all about conversion. Okay, not a traffic guy. Got great people for traffic, but I'm not a traffic guy. I'm a conversion guy. How do I turn somebody who stuck up their hand and said, yeah, I'm interested, into a buyer? All right, so go check out those things. You'll probably notice Dan looks a little odd. He, how can I put this? He kind of had an accidental laboratory fire. I did some research into that. I feel bad for the guy. And so that's why he looks the way he does. But the information he has is fantastic. So go look at that. Yeah, questions, write them below. I'll see you tomorrow.